Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to special episode of Astro Night Live. Today with me is our regular guest, Alejo. Hi, Alejo.
Hi, how are you, Rod? Nice to be here again.
Yeah, so it's my another time of say Happy New Year. Because our last episode was before in the December, right? And our this episode
Mm-hmm.
is
It's
in
true.
January. It's too late to say Happy New Year to everyone, but it is also interesting because while we are preparing this recording is in the Asia world, especially in the East Asia, have our Lunar New Year festival. So, like include
Yeah.
in
So Happy
Japan,
New Year.
yeah, Korea, China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and the most Southeast Asia area, we will celebrate the New Year for us. And that was so interesting and a lot of traditional things. You will go to temple to pray for the good luck for whole year, and it's a family gathering, a little bit like Christmas in the Western world, to be honest. And that is kind of
Nice.
yeah, very nice, super busy. I know you wish you were here. So you were the kind of when we were prepared
Yes.
to this recording, you were kind of a wish you were here or something. That the music was playing. That was so funny.
Yeah, that's true. That's why I wish you were there. I was there,
Yeah,
yes. So we
yeah,
were we were about to record, and on my computer, the Spotify by itself started playing that song. Wish you were there. Wish you were there, I think it's called.
yeah. Me too. I wish you were here. To be honest, you will really enjoy this. But
I would
it is
love to, yeah.
yeah, and it is also a special moment for us, especially you and me, because the
Yes.
whole thing would start when we discussed about the how to run the podcast and the astrology things. Because the in the beginning of 2020 2021, I started to run few podcasts, not maybe just like once a month, and with Marcus and Mandy, and a few times I run the podcast after I have like a webinar or something, so I run the weekend podcast, not very often. Then suddenly I say, well, you know what? I probably want to do a little bit more, want to do a little bit more to see how to reach out and also to see how our audience receive the message and what they like. And then we just like, okay, we most of our audience are those people who already have some idea of astrology, because I usually run the mundane astrology. But I say, how about
Mm-hmm.
for those audience who want to study astrology and but who have no resource. And also, while I
Mm-hmm.
was talking with many colleagues, to be honest, is I don't want to I don't want to make it sound like judgmental or I'm full of myself, but I just want to say, sometime when the audience they reach the some astrological information, sometimes it's a little bit more entertainment or more about
Mm-hmm.
sun sign, or just a very
Mm-hmm.
superficial and general. I think this word is
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more fast food. So this kind of a easy digest things, people are most easily to take it in. But to be honest, that is not astrology. For example, yesterday I met a few people, and then they say, "Oh, you're astrologer." Dude, oh yes, of course you are Aquarius, so you are this and that. I would say, well, not everyone the same. People are different. Even at Aquarius, they still have a lot of different things. So we started thinking about maybe prepare something, for the beginner. And
Yeah.
I think that would be so interesting. Then we have this idea. So maybe we prepare something short and then quick to digest, and then for the beginner and for and I know, because you are tutor for the faculty, and I teach astrology for maybe 20 years. So we start to organize this kind of thing. So, and this come to the 1 year anniversary because our first episode was broadcast at 18th January 2022.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God,
Yes.
when we are prepared this, we are exactly, going to, we just have our first year anniversary. Alejo, how do you feel? I always call you, say, Alejo, we need to record this and that. And why we record? You are in either you are in Athens, you are in Barcelona, you are in Buenos Aires, and anywhere else in the United States.
Yes.
And
Yes, it's
I would
true.
be, yeah,
So,
I'll be in Tenerife, London, and now in Taipei. So, how do you feel about this year's experience?
well, actually, I think it's great that you are very good at keeping up with when do we have to record. And you're always telling me, we need to record 3 more episodes, we need to record this, we need to record that, because I'm not very good at following that. And it's true, during last year, I was traveling a lot. I had to go to the USA for 2 months and a half. I had to go to Argentina for a few months, London also for a few weeks, I think, and then Barcelona also, and now Athens is where I live. So it was a bit of a crazy ride. And
Yeah.
maybe this was one of the things that gave me structure through the weekend and stuff, like knowing we had to do this. And I really enjoy it. I really enjoy sharing these ideas with you
Hmm.
and seeing your perspective on it's interesting for us when we're so used to do astrology to go back to the basics. You always
Hmm.
get like a new insight or a new thought or a new like, look at this, I hadn't thought of this. I mean, I think when we practice a lot, we get used to doing it in a certain way. We get
Hmm.
used to associating the science with certain things and these kind of
Hmm.
things. And when you go back to this rediscovering the science, you get new insights, right? And
Yeah.
also it's interesting, this format, the 10-minute format, like we have
Hmm.
to be succinct. How do you say it? Like succinct, like we have to be very very clear, very to the point. I think it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. To be honest with you, that is not my strength to just keep things quick, tight, net, and just like
Yeah, I know.
only focus on important things. Because you remember there were several episodes I really want to carry on, tell
Yeah.
something more, and you have to try to remind me, say no, we shouldn't, because that it eventually some episode is 20 minutes, to be honest.
Yes, yes, sometimes it happens, yes. But I would like to say also, uh, I don't fully agree with the idea that sun sign astrology is not real astrology. I just think
Hmm.
it's a different kind of astrology. I think there are different layers in which
Hmm.
you can reach this craft, this art,
Hmm.
whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it, this
Yep.
thing that we do.
Hmm.
And there's a proper level for everyone. So I
Yes.
would say, like, I like psychology a lot, but of
Hmm.
course I don't expect everyone to be reading Carl Jung's books because they are
Hmm.
complicated. You need to really like I mean, you need to really like psychology to be reading that, and also
Hmm.
a specific kind of school. But some people may read something like Pablo Coelho
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
I don't know, some other books, um, which and perhaps for a psychologist they don't look like super deep, but
Hmm.
they are deep, and they are in a language that is accessible for other people, and they bring a whole world of self-reflection for people who might not be willing to read Carl
Hmm.
Jung, or might not be willing to go to a therapy session, but they still want to work on themselves.
Hmm.
So I would say sun sign astrology has like a similar position. I think it has a place in
Hmm.
astrology practice. It connects in some ways. It makes some it makes people connect in some way to the sky. Yes,
Hmm.
it's perhaps it sounds a bit less sophisticated than what we
Hmm.
do. And of course, if you want to have like a real reading of who you are and what's happening to you, you should see a professional astrologer
Yeah.
and get your chart, because your chart is unique. It's only
Yep.
yours. So
Hmm.
to have a full reading of your own chart is a huge experience.
Hmm.
But maybe some people are not prone to that. So
Hmm.
sun sign astrology for the moment is enough with it. It's like also when you get sick, sometimes you get sick and you have a friend who's a doctor, and you just send a few pictures of, I don't know, whatever you are having, and like if you have a rash on the skin or something, and sometimes they will tell you a few things and it will work. It will be good enough for what you have. Sometimes like
Yeah,
this kind of advice that is kind of general will not be good, and then you need to go to a professional and you need to see
exactly.
a professional and get a specific help. And I think it's kind of, I don't know, I would say it this way. I think every kind of astrology has a place in its world and the world. And to me, the idea of making the podcast was this idea of helping people who may not be willing to may not be willing or may not have the chance
Mm-hmm.
to go for a full course, like like
Mm-hmm.
your courses or the faculty course that trains you to become a professional astrologer.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some people might not be willing to become professional astrologers, but they want to
Mm-hmm.
know more astrology
Yeah.
because they want to follow their transits and stuff, and to
Mm-hmm.
help them out, so like
Yeah.
a bridge between the sun sign astrology and the professional
Mm-hmm.
astrology. This is
Mm-hmm.
where I feel like we can, I don't know, this is my feeling.
Yeah, I like I like the way you say it took me several years to go to there. Is the what should I say? Yes, is there is so many astrology, different school, different style, Vedic or Western or even Chinese or maybe the medieval or Hellenistic. Well, they are all astrology. I like Sharon say that they are all astrology, but we maybe focus on different perspective, focus on different
Yeah.
area, and use different way. Like I really like a fixed star, and not many people do that. And I couldn't say, oh, only fixed star are true astrology, and that sounds very,
Mm.
very. mm, I don't know how to say, but and that is not my personality. But and I also agree with you, everyone will find their way to open that astrology door. So everyone we all grow up in different environment, and we all focus on different things in life. Maybe someone who are into maybe like a money or financial things, they will step into astrology with financial astrology, and then maybe later in life they will come to the study the natal chart or psychological astrology. And maybe some people like they just want to answer the question. Maybe they will start with horary astrology.
Yeah.
So there is
Yes.
nothing right, wrong, or this one is better than that. That is just astrology suits you at this moment, because maybe few years after you want to learn something else and you don't want to call the astrology you
Yes.
learned before a fake astrology or something, you know. But I also
Exactly.
agree.
Yeah, exactly.
I also agree with you, because I think most of us were beginning from sun sign. Most of us were beginning
Yeah,
from sun
exactly.
sign.
Most of us
Yeah,
probably began there.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. And also
Yeah.
some people who do sun sign astrology, like it's quite complex to come up with. If you do a daily horoscope, it's not so
Oh
easy to come
gosh.
up with a daily horoscope. So, I mean, I
Yeah.
think in some ways it's quite admirable, actually, if they do
Even
it
if,
seriously. Of course, some people just
yeah,
write a few things, but
yeah, I
yeah.
agree. Yeah, so it is very interesting, because 1 year after, to be honest, we do this once a week, and we talk about the sign, zodiac sign. We talk about planet. We talk about house, and we talk about a detail like a planet in every house thing. So now I think, apart from that, we are going to this year, our aim is continue with aspect. And to be honest,
Yes.
I'm so excited, and I really thinking, we if our audience follow us from beginning of last year, I think they already know quite a lot in the chart, and of course, everything have their own birth chart, and our program also have our own birth chart, because our first episode was a podcast. Sorry, was a podcast at
Okay, bless you.
18 January 2022 at 7 a.m. Ooh, I'm so
Oh my
emotional.
God. Ah, he's gonna cry. So yeah, we started a year ago. So we have a chart, which is the chart of the day of the moment in which the first episode was broadcasted, right?
Exactly. Look, here's the chart.
First episode of 10 Minutes Astrology,
Yeah,
18th of January 2022, 7 a.m.
yeah. It is quite interesting, because if this is our program's first chart, So there is a character here, there is a character here. And they also, I don't know, maybe later we can play like this. What is the special moment you remember and fit into this chart?
I'm just thinking, I'm looking at the chart and I'm thinking how it matches my natal chart, and it's quite
Oh,
impressive
you are
actually,
doing
the
the
synastry.
synastry now. So you put the 10 minutes astrology chart with your chart.
In my mind, I mean, I'm doing it in my mind, and it's quite amazing. But let's talk about the
Yeah,
episode, the chart. Yeah, let's talk about the
yeah,
chart.
yeah.
So for the moment, because people only know planets in sign and houses,
Mm-hmm.
we cannot use the aspects, right? Or can we?
Maybe you can try, but I think there are few things is like standing out. Like first things, when I see this chart, the angular planet, that is also the technique I used to read the natal chart or horary chart. The angular planet, the planet on the ascendant, descendant, MC, IC, are usually something have like a strong character for this event, for this person. And in this chart, we have the Venus on the ascendant. And I just realized there was a Venus retrograde.
Yeah, it's true.
And we also have Uranus, or how you call it in Greek,
Uranos.
Uranos, on the IC,
Yes.
and also retrograde. And then we recorded that first episode and upload first episode on Mercury retrograde. What's wrong with us?
But I think it may be because we are reviewing the concepts of astrology, something like that. Can we put it that way?
Yeah, could be, because if I say this is a reviewing, wow, that's 10,000 times a review these kind of things.
Yeah. I think, did we look at the chart when we posted? We just decided the time without looking at the chart, I
I think
think.
we did, but we just like, should we just start from now, or should we just waiting for something like end of Mercury retrograde? But we decided to say let's start with it because we have a great idea, and I think you are like let's just do it now. Don't need to wait. I said great.
Also, Mercury retrograde could be that, could be a great idea, an unexpected thought, an unexpected idea, an unexpected dream. Yes.
Yeah,
So it could
but
be something like that.
yeah, I like the idea of a Mercury retrograde because I'm not really afraid about Mercury retrograde, to be honest, because I think it represents a way of learning by repetition. It, for some people, maybe they maybe don't like it, they like new things, but I somehow when I learn the things, I try not to memorize things, but I like to keep going back to review it. And every time, like you say, we review the basic astrology, and every single time we will get different idea. To be honest with you, I kind of learn kind of sort of basic astrology at least three times in the major learning 3 times. So first time was like a self-taught reading the books, and then I went to one astrology school for 1 year, and then I changed to the faculty for another year. To start with, always start from the basic major margin one. That's like, but every time, to be honest, in the beginning I'm kind of I know everything, but eventually I said no. I noticed a lot of things from different teachers teach. So I really like that kind of Mercury retrograde feeling about the build up things slowly. And I think this
Yeah.
is also showing in our chart because that Mercury retrograde in Aquarius and is kind of quite close to Saturn.
Yes. It's true. So the idea of going slowly, making good basis. I also like the idea that when I tell people that we're doing the 10-minute astrology podcast, astrologers, they look at me like, how do you do this in 10 minutes? So I like this idea that it's something eccentric, it's something a little bit different. I tell them, well, sometimes it's a bit more than 10 minutes, but usually that's the intention. But I mean, some of them are surprised that we want to, in 10 minutes, convey one, like the meaning of a planet or something. And actually, I think it could be like also the Mercury retrograde, this idea of something different, the way we approach it, something unique, something different.
Yeah. But
And then, of course, I like the sun. Sorry, yes.
yeah, Scott, go on.
I mean, the sun in Capricorn has to do with what you were saying, like building something slowly, perhaps.
Mm.
And we have both sun and ascendant in Capricorn.
Mm.
So I think there's this feeling of trying to build something long lasting. Now that I'm looking at this chart, I'm not so surprised that we have done a whole year.
Yes.
And we feel like we want to continue. There's this idea of, I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel like this idea of creating an audio library that people will be able to go back to when they need to quickly
Yeah.
refresh on one. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have this feeling.
I agree. But because it's something very useful. I think that's the Venus in Capricorn, also Venus in Capricorn, something useful. There's a beauty there, and there's something
Mm.
useful, important, something useful and has its value. So it's like trying to make it a very very practical. And I think I like your idea about the audio library or video library, so people can keep going back and then they can watch it, they can review it, and I really enjoy that. But also I think that moon in Leo is so funny in the seventh house because I think
How
it's
do you interpret that? What do you think? Yeah.
well because if the first house is you and I, then the
Yes,
seventh house
exactly. I
could
was
be our
thinking
audience.
similarly.
Yeah, seventh house could be our
Exactly.
audience.
Yes.
So they would be very creative.
Yeah. I feel like it's like a gift we're giving them so they can shine. Like we're doing this
Ah,
for others.
mm,
It's like a generous gift for other people. That's how the way I feel it. Yes.
hmm, yeah, and that is very interesting. That's the beautiful that beautiful moon because and later I think this moon, well, it's kind of going to aspect the Mercury. So still, they just like
Mhm.
starting, the starting and the repeat. So maybe later we should be more creative in our terminus astrology and bring out more interesting subject to talk about it. Yeah, and this is a
Perhaps I'm
very
thinking, yeah, I'm also thinking something. Sorry, yes, go. Sorry,
go
sorry.
on, go on, go on. No, please.
I'm also thinking something like that, that maybe there is something a calling to, now that we have set the grounds, which is the Capricorn
Mm,
thing, now to
yeah.
go to the Aquarian side of things and perhaps try to bring something
Hmm.
a little bit more creative, weird or different, yes.
Yeah, I think that would be very interesting because the different thing that Uranus on the IC is one of our signature. We should maybe bring that out to make it more different. I think.
Yeah, perhaps we should, yes.
Yeah, that is quite that would be very very interesting because sometimes when you and I, when we do that things, sometimes could be scary too because remember there's one episode of Astro Night Life and we talk about Mars and the sex, and that was like, oh dear, that episode is so interesting because you may not remember because that was the first time I realized that my video clip on YouTube has been marked the age
I remember,
restriction.
yes.
Age restriction. I was like,
Yes.
oh, that is so interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the
Yeah.
Uranus too, kind of a surprising moment.
That's also the midheaven in Scorpio. We talk about sex. We're talking about sex, midheaven in Scorpio. Sun,
Oh
Pluto,
yeah, I really don't want to go there. I really don't want to. Eventually, one of the evening or one of the evening a month, we are going to about sex and astrology. I think that will be fun.
We should maybe, yes. Come on.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. We start Venus, we start Scorpio earlier, so then maybe we should try it. Well, maybe I should ask our
Yeah, I
audience, give
mean,
us some of their feedback. Do you like that? And let me know. Maybe Alejo and I, we will kind of planning that. That would be so interesting. So, well,
yeah, it would be
before,
nice to know also what the
yeah,
audience would like, because with this moon in Leo in the seventh, maybe we should also be more prone to listening
yeah.
to what they want.
Yeah. Oh, yes. It's quite interesting because I remember there are a few things. Is the feedback from the like you can some of our audience give you some feedback and you bring them in. It's about I think about some subject we can talk, or the way we present it, and that was like a very helpful, to be honest. Like, it's very, very helpful. And so, to be honest, I think today, this special episode is anniversary, and we just a quick look at our chart. But I think it's also quite important. I mean, this series is dedicated to the beginner astrologer. If you really want to learn astrology, you don't need to be professional, but if you want to learn astrology, step by step, and this is the right program for you. But today, I will suggest one thing. Alejo and I, we're going to uh, talk about some tips of learning astrology. Learning astrology.
Okay.
So because we are all, being astrologer for so long, and the teaching astrologers also look at we interact with students. We know somehow how they struggling when they're learning the astrology. So Alejo, do you want to share some tips to help our audience?
Of course.
Yeah.
So the first tip I'm thinking of 3 tips. Let's hope I will remember all of them. Now I said there are 3.
That's the right.
The first one is keep a diary. Write your thoughts in a diary. Yes. When you hear an episode, write down the keywords for each sign or each planet or whatever, and also keep a diary about how you felt listening to that episode. So once you have the keywords done, that week, let's say we do the Venus episode. So that week you go out and you try to see everything that's Venus around you. So this is going to help you incorporate the planetary principle without being so rational. But then when you need to do the interpretation, you will be able to go back to your notes and see the list of keywords, and it's going to help you phrase what you might experience.
Wow.
That's one of the things. The other thing I should say is keep it simple. I feel like some beginners in astrology, I mean, it happened to all of us, I think. We read these books by Liz Green, Howard Sass, and they are fantastic astrologers. They're incredible astrologers. Yeah. They have been doing this for years when they wrote those books. They had huge experience. Most of them are not only astrologers, they also have other degrees. And that gives them a way, that gives them so many different resources when they have to face the human condition and explain it. So sometimes we read and we feel like, they got so deep. And when you want to start interpreting your charts, you want to go as deep as them. My advice and my experience in the consultations is that usually the simplest interpretations are the most impactful in the person. When it's not so complicated, when it's not so rational, so abstract, when it's very grounded and very clear and very simple, is when people make meaning of it. So also I would say try not to go too high in the clouds, just keep it simple. And then the third one is practice. I mean, you heard the episodes, you know how to interpret any planet in sign and house. So look at the charts of the people you know and try to see if those planets are being expressed in their lives. And if you don't see them, go and ask them. Tell them, okay, I see you have Venus in Capricorn rising. I would say this would be interpreted like this and this and that, but when I see you, I don't see that. How do you feel about it? So ask them. Don't be afraid of not knowing. Just go and ask them. Don't be afraid of making a mistake in interpretation, because it's live, it's real life people that will help you read charts. You can also do it with famous people, actually. If you know, if you have a politician you like, or a writer you like, or an actor you like, and you know their life story, you can also check with their charts. But of course, in those cases, you have no access to their inner world, so you don't know how they have experienced that. When it's people you know and your interpretation doesn't match what you see, let's say the objective world, which is never objective, but let's call it like that, you can actually address them and ask them, and you will see how they feel, and maybe how they feel will match to your interpretation. So these are my tips. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I'm also going to share 3 tips, just like fit into yours. And my first point was very similar as your last point, because it's a continue. My first point is like, remember, chart is a chart, a person is a person. So most of the beginner have I always asked, like, why such a person have this planet in this sign, but they didn't act like this. Okay, because you have to know, astrology is like this. Okay, the astrological chart maybe is like the music, a musician going to play a music note they're going to play, but different musician will have their different style, or will interpret a music in a different way. So astrological chart is the same. We all from different background, especially like look at me and Alejo. I'm from the Asia, Alejo from the Latin America, and then even maybe we share some, maybe like a key point in the astrology chart, but that we will acting that point in a very different way because we have a different cultural background, and we have a different personality, and we through different
Yeah.
events. So everyone will be different. So like Alejo give you the very good tips. Go to ask them how they feel about that, and don't be afraid to ask. Yes, that's one thing. And I like one thing. I think maybe it's a Sue Tompkins say that when I become an astrologer, I don't know anything. I don't know anything.
Yes.
It's because we are not we are not expecting an astrologer know every single thing in client's life or in your friend's life. So the chart is the chart. Chart give you some principles, some characteristic, and from there we're going to develop. So it is very interesting. I think it's like a, don't be remember the chart is chart and person is person. So somehow, I mean, when every time I read the chart for client, I don't pretending I know you. I I like the way I feel more comfortable. I mean, there will be an astrologer feel very comfortable to say, when I see the chart, I know everything about you.
Yeah.
That's fine, but that's not me, and because I feel not comfortable with that. That's one point. Then another thing would be, I think the things we can do for practice is, as now you have skill to read the chart, try to look at the transit of every day. You can focus on moon or planet changing sign, or once you learn the aspect, you can focus on, oh, today what aspect we have, and then read the newspaper, only maybe headline. And that's what I learned also from my but maybe it's like Su Tamping and our only other faculty tutor. They say, because that's the astrology. You will see those news with today's chart, maybe moon sign, moon's aspect, maybe Mercury or Sun's aspect, because there's always something to tell you. There's always something to tell you. And then, so you will learn astrology with this kind of a transit, things change. And maybe it will remind you some keyword about Mercury in Leo or Venus in Pisces. You forget, but when you read that news, you increase and you get your memory back, and that would be very helpful when you're learning the astrology. And then, because Alejo already talked about the practice, so my third point would be, really, I mean, there is so many information out there, and one thing is my tip I usually teach my students. When you read the book, when you heard about Alejo say something, maybe Alejo talking about the Sun in Leo or maybe Saturn in Pisces, now you can ask yourself why he say that. Is there any keyword I already know about Saturn and the Pisces in his sentence, in this paragraph? You got to analyze their way to talk, because all the astrologers talk about something based on their knowledge of astrology, and so the things we talk should be fit into that criteria. And so you can help yourself to ask why he say that. Is there anything he say is not in this content? Then you can think about why, or maybe just his personal background, or maybe he just forget and add something in, and not talking about astrology. That is possible too. But like I teach my students, every time when you read those books, even read my book, ask why he write this. Which part is the planet, and which part is house or sign or aspect. Then you can learn it, because it's the kind of vertical analyze way to do it. So
Yeah.
this is my 3 tips for the beginner. Then this can really help you to, increase your ability to reading the chart. Well, Alejo,
Fantastic.
thank you
Yeah.
very much for the whole years, always being always with me, no matter where you are in the world, from United States, from Argentina, from Aben and Spain. To be honest, I'm so glad to work with you.
Me too. I think it's lovely that we found this,
Yeah,
this place to do this. Yes.
yeah, and then, well, we will continue for another year, and I think I really hope more and more our audience join us, and we will be able to discuss the chart together in our 10 minutes astrology group, and also we can more advance. I really can't wait to teach maybe like how to read transit.
Yeah, I know, but we
Yeah,
have to
that
be
with a
patient.
but that yeah, be patient. Don't worry. We have in our chart, we have a Mercury in Aquarius conjunct Saturn. Hey, we will be very, very steady. But I'm just like
Yeah, it's true.
so be bear with us. But I promise you, our audience follow us, you will really learn something have a very good, grounded, solid astrology knowledge. Well, thanks everyone for watching today's special episode of Astro Nightlife, and it's our anniversary special episode. I'm really happy. I'm over the moon, to be honest. And thanks Alejo, thanks our audience to spend the whole year
Thank you,
with
Rod.
us.
Thank you for creating this idea.
Oh yeah, I mean, it is a very interesting things to do, to be honest, because my professional background was radio. I was working in the radio station, and I was a radio host
Ah.
when I was in Taiwan. So this, and I was run away for kind of 20 years, and then that's why when I started doing this, I was laughing, say, I run away from from all this kind of media, and eventually coming back to combine 2 of my career, the media, podcast, and recording things with astrology, which I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. I really love it. Thanks everyone. So I will looking forward to see you next year. But next week would be the me and Christian talking about a fixed star, and the next week talking about a fixed star in Pisces called Adoration. Okay, so thanks everyone, and wish you, if you are in Asia, wish you have a very nice Lunar New Year holiday. But if you are in the rest of the world, I wish you keep warm and enjoy your life. Well, see you. Bye. Ciao.
Bye bye. Thank you.